So let's move to Germany. And I'm very honored to have Verena in the room here. And we heard stories now from a city, we heard stories from a tour operator, we heard stories from an island. So now we move into the hotel business. And we had a very exciting journey. And I'm honored to have Verena with me today, the owner of this beautiful hotel, which is displayed here. And we had the pleasure to be supported by the European Union to work 1 year with a team of a hotel to move from sustainability into regeneration and to try to understand what we are living here, to try to understand a hotel as an ecosystem. You see this beautiful hotel here. Verena, I want to give you the floor to present your beautiful home there because for me it's like an eagle nest over a very beautiful city.
Right. Yeah. Thank you for the invitation as well. And yeah, quite a big pressure to be now in the end. So I hope I can catch some of you up. It was a amazing journey the last year and really, really big still now. And of course, it's the end of the journey with the Recross tour, but it's just the beginning. We are just beginning of turning our hotel into regenerative thinking, and it's very complex as well to explain. But to just give a short impression where we are coming from. So we are 100 meters above Oberstdorf, which is a very um, commonplace, especially it comes from the winter tourism, but now we are quite strong summer tourism place. We are the southest part of Bavaria, and we have a lot of sport competitions, especially in winter. So the tourism is quite a lot, and our place is family owned over 135 years, and we are the fifth generation now. Um, and we were rebuilding the hotel 2019, and we were making a hotel. Before it was just a restaurant for people, hikers coming around, and we had just small guest rooms, and now we turned it into a hotel to make the place a little bit calmer and more exclusive.
Yes, so far the introduction, and there's a husband of Verena, and I also want to mention my colleague Nicole. I really do believe when we work in regeneration, we should mix male and female qualities equally in the room, and we should also tap into the co-creative wisdom because I really feel co-creation and regeneration does only work when we bring in swarm intelligence. So I could never do a regenerative project myself. I always feel like I want to be part of something bigger to move on. So and I'm honestly feeling very honored to become part of your family, Verena, together with Nicole. We were finally eating in the kitchen, and we were playing with your dog, with your daughter on a unicorn. So I felt like this is also about regeneration. It's not only a job for me anymore. It's really part of something much bigger. So that was the idea here. We had a subject, we had a hotel, we had a 14 months journey, we had a mission. We want to transition into a already sustainable hotel into fully regenerative ecosystem. Honestly speaking, Verena, you said it, and we will dive into it in a moment. We are just at the starting point. So please be aware, even if we are talking about regeneration, it's like such a new room for all of us. At least that's how I experienced this idea that it's really about a so different mindset that takes your time. So the method was really focused so totally on the software of the system, shifting mindset, organizational culture, human relationships, rather than installing any hardware. And I don't want to dive into that. That's what we heard from Elke. I put it into the framework later on, the difference between the old paradigm and the new. What we really did here is we tried to understand the hotel as a living ecosystem. So it's not about measuring solely isolated internal metrics, but we try to look at the health of the entire network. So expand the stakeholders' view, really understanding that nature is part of an active participating stakeholder. It's very important to look at that. Quality is a quality of the system health. So the quality of the guest experience is a direct expression of the healthy internal and external dynamics of that system. So it's really a turnaround view of how we want to do that. And it's really about designing encounters where we create spaces where resonance and connection could organically happen. This is a theory. We in a minute show you how that worked in the practice. And of course, nothing worked without the community. So we try to embed it in that as well. What we used as a framework here is something we will publish soon. It's a I, we, all, everything framework. So we started very much with the I perspective. So with Verena and us talking a lot about her perspective. Where does this hotel come from? Where does the DNA come from? Then we talked about the people in the team. Where do you come from? What is your personal level of regeneration? How do you feel? We talked then about the ecosystem, about strengthening the local network, the value creation. We talked about the team culture, because the team culture was for us the number one lever for everything else. And then we talked about what you also, Sophia and Verena, talked about, like really the ripple effect of how does it carry on to the guests, to the staff, to the whole environment. And there are two things we did as a core thing, and that is the inner work of transformation. We put so much focus in the first year about how can we look differently at a hotel? How can this whole work be seen differently? And there was a lot about a reflection workshop, about nature-based reflections, about journaling, about really putting focus on a dialogue, really listening to each other. So basically, we opened up spaces for where we listened to the whole team for 3 hours, and based on that, we shaped the mission and everything. So what does it want to shine through? That's what we ask. And we had a co-creation workshop where we really tapped into the collaborative mapping of the hotel's ecosystem. So how are you embedded in this whole journey? And but that's a theory. Let's come to the practice now. And Verena, I hand over to you again. What we did here is a first workshop where you can see basically the team recognizing itself as an ecosystem. But I hand over to Verena again. How was it from your perspective?
Oh yeah, we are a quite small team, but it makes it sometimes, of course, difficult because we are sometimes kind of a family, and it's a different structure than in a big chain or in a big hotel where you have different levels. And we, our honest wish is to have the team as well responsible for their work. They really they have to step to a different level of work, and that was the first way to just show on a piece of paper with this a lot of things to create how our hotel looks like from the perspective of maybe a bird flying over it. And the idea, my husband had the idea to do the Olympic rings. So he saw the hotel kind of these rings. So we are all connected to each other. But the end of the rings are not quite connected at the moment. It was in that part, it was the kitchen and the housekeeping team. So they see each other, they know each other, but they don't really work together because they don't have any connections for the work. And as well, the team itself, we saw, okay, they are back to back, or there is one just sitting in the middle and has to coordinate everything. We had the guests around, we had the family around, and like that, the team really realized where are the pain points, What do we have to change? Maybe sometimes it's just a small change because we have to turn around so we see each other face to face. Maybe we have to find a connection between housekeeping and kitchen, just an example. And that made it really well understanding as well for the team.
And that's also the difference of a systemic approach here. You look at from, you said it very well, from an eagle perspective, where does the energy flow? If you look at the forest and an ecosystem, energy flows through the mycelium. And so how does it flow in a team? Is the energy stuck somewhere? Where are points to enter, lever points? For example, handover traditions when the reception leaves and the new reception comes, you always have a handover protocol. But how are these protocols shaped? Often they are shaped in a negative way, like something was missing, something was going wrong in the night. But how can you shape that different to make energy flow again? So that's really a very deep dive into the flowing of a team. And then we went out, and here on the left side you see the ecosystem mapping of this whole hotel. So we had the team first. How does the energy flow in the team? But then we were working outside. We were looking at what are the partners in the ecosystem that we could connect to, that we could integrate in this regenerative journey. And that was a very local thing. And maybe you could explain, Verena, what happened, because we are sitting there on a very specific. We visited some of the ecosystem players of the region to invite them to the journey.
Yeah, of course, we are always trying to find products which are regional, but sometimes, and we really learned it in that journey as well, it's not just having the biocycle on the apple, for example. We really need to see where it comes from, who who is working with it. And here we visited our local bakery, and we always worked with the bakery from the area, but we wanted to dive a little bit deeper and to really see what is the village really offering. And even if it makes it a bit more difficult to get now all the bread and rolls for the breakfast and the whole day, because we don't have a delivery service here anymore, and we had it before. But the mind map with that bakery is the same, so they really are looking for the products they're getting. So where is their grain coming from? What are they doing with it? And what are they really doing in their bakery? And what is not their business? Because the food industry has kind of the same problem than the hospitality industry. The the consumers and the customers, they got everything available all year around, and they are used to it now. And this is I think, the most difficult part, to change their mind map, that it has not been necessary to have it all year around. And this mindset is really good in that bakery, and that's why we changed, and we really were talking. And now we have as well in the village a stronger connection.
And it's so different from my perspective, also what you did there, because I was witnessing that. It was not a transactional visit. It was not a hierarchy driven meeting like you are supplying us, we need this, and this. It was really the first hour about what values do you have? Do we fit to each other? How can we support each other on that journey to become regenerative? And how does it move beyond simply transactional activities? And I just say something about that, but I want to move to the end. We often played with very creative methods because sometimes in a hotel you might have recognized that we have language barriers. We have, for example, here a person from Madagascar, and we really played to make this barrier very low to interact, and that was basically the mission statement as a picture, as a like playing with different things. Verena, you might comment on that in a just one, two sentences.
Yep, I think it was a good experience again to think of how can a hotel act as well. And for the team, normally they are working just in their departments. So we have the service, we have the kitchen, we have a housekeeping, and the front desk. But here it was really good to see that they start connecting to each other. And on that base, we found out it would be amazing to change from the department thinking into a rule system, so that the staff really is working in kind of rules, and they taking over a certain rule they are really feeling comfortable with.
And the last thing we want to show today, because we are already at the limit of time today, is the final outcome 2 weeks ago was to invite multiplicators of the town. You have seen Oberstdorf as a town, so that as a community, and we wanted to invite them to become part of that journey, to be inspired, but also to inspire each other in that journey, and to see there maybe. And this is, by the way, the beautiful place where we actually had this workshop. But maybe some words about this day from your perspective, Verena.
Yeah, the main goal was as well to bring the idea of the ecosystem into the village. So the biggest goal, of course, would be to make Oberstdorf a kind of a ecosystem village. And here we had different people from town, and they are working in very different areas. And yeah, they were bringing their experiences, but I think more they really were exciting to see what can what can start in a small place and can just grow like a flower. And I think we are quite connected now, and that's the most important thing, to bring this connection into the whole village as well, to into the government and stuff. That's the main goal, to make a big change.
Okay, and just two things to round it up what we did there. So what you see really is this activation curve. What I'm always talking about is really, if we create this regenerative travelers, we have this beautiful saying in Germany, erlauben statt urlauben, which means to allow something to happen and not to do just vacations. So we grant permission to inspire, to have an echo in the everyday lives of guests, of staff, of local people, and that's the activation curve. That's what I call basically like this catalyst role that we are talking about. So for what we have seen in this journey of 14 months, we have seen that we actually really have a superpower here, that hotels can be a laboratory for societal transformation. And I want to end with that. So thanks so much for listening. And if there are anything in the chat, Eugenia, we're happy to. Otherwise, we move on. Thanks so much, Verena, for sharing your story again. I think you are an amazingly brave and wonderful and experimenting, powerful female leadership person. So I really enjoyed this the last 15 months with you. Thanks so
Thank
much.
you so much.